Maybe opening day against the Giants, we're going to see him in the slot. We're going to see him in motion across the formation. Gosh, I hope so.
It would go a long way.
Please don't let teams come in here and play cloud coverage, cover 2, cover 6, and all of a sudden he's like taken out of games. Please don't let that happen again. That's your job. Mm-hmm. Don't let that happen again.
Well, and George Pickens talked about that with us in Oxnard. I mean, it's clearly something they're aware of. George, Adams is aware of it.
But George can't come out and say, man, I hate moving around.
Oh, no, he can't do that.
Please don't move me around.
But they know what some of the issues were last year, starting with that Detroit game where it's like, okay, defenses are adjusting now. They're not just giving you exactly what you thought they were.
Right.
And so now you gotta have something else in the arsenal. And I think Clayton Adams is one of those guys that is dedicated throughout the offseason to figuring stuff out. He's still a hungry dog trying to get where he wants to go.
Well, see, too, Clayton Adams can figure it out, but does Pickens want to do this?
Sure.
Is Pickens comfortable?
Well, hey, he's got a lot to play for himself.
He does. He absolutely does. And he's probably going to get tagged again. Get ready for that. He's going to play under 2 tags.
Hey, that could work out for you, man. That's a lot of guaranteed money.
If he plays well.
No doubt about it.
If he plays well.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is proud to bring you today's pregame show, America's original craft vodka. I think Wolchuk made this happen.
You are so happy about this, aren't you?
Me and Wolchuk put in the call for this one.
If Tito's sent up a half gallon in here right now, you would be like all into that, wouldn't you?
Treat this like a World Series game, baby.
Yeah. Come on, get up, stand up, 2 strikes, let's go.
Watch out, Secret Service. We are absolutely loaded, though. Just under 3 hours to kick off preseason game number 1. Cowboys in Seattle taking on the Super Bowl champions. We have our Cowboys insider Bobby Belt coming in here. We got Behind Enemy Lines with Dave Wyman of Seahawks Radio, Babe Laufenberg, Christy Scales, the whole 9. Just getting started here on the official pregame show of America's team. And Bobby Belt, Cowboys insider, joins us next right here on The Fan. All right, we're under 3 hours to kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. Preseason game number 1, Cowboys in Seattle. Let's welcome in our good buddy, Bobby Belt, Cowboys Insider, live in studio. How we doing, Bob?
What's up?
Man, fantastic, dude. I mean, this is exactly where I want to be right now.
This is what it's all about.
It is. It is. You can feel it in the air, and this is this is a huge opportunity for a lot of guys tonight. And I don't know exactly how many of the big name dudes we're going to be able to see. Caleb Downs, I guess, is going to be at least playing a little bit.
Yeah.
Hoping to see quite a bit of Malachi Lawrence, your other first round pick.
I think he's a limited guy too.
Yeah, I think Downs and him are probably going to play about the same.
Yeah.
Which
8
is
to 10
maybe
plays?
2 series at most.
Yeah. Maybe, depending on if it's 3 and out, maybe it's 2 series. But if it's, couple first downs, they're probably out their first series, and then they're coming out, I would guess.
Well, how do we feel about that with Lawrence? I get it with Downs. I get it. Pedigree, big game dude, played at Ohio State. Like, this is Malachi Lawrence coming from UCF, now not really busting out in a huge way in training camp. And so I feel like he's a guy that I would like to see a full quarter or half out of.
It's an interesting question or thought process because, yeah, you're right. They talk about Caleb Downs would, I think Stephen Jones told this to Dan Graziano, that Downs, when he was a senior in high school and was going on one of his trips to Alabama, like they were getting ready for their bowl game, and he was like doing film study for the Alabama bowl game, and the Alabama players were like, dude, you're not playing. Like, what do you do? You're still in you're not going to be in this game. What are you doing?
You're not even technically on the roster
and
right now,
he was just
dude.
like diving into it. And so, I mean, he's always been super prepared, and he played really high pedigree football, and there's all that so that's great. Malachi Lawrence played at UCF, obviously not as big a program, obviously not the same sort of stakes. So, yeah, you would naturally think, all right, Malachi Lawrence, I'd probably prefer to get a few more snaps than Caleb in this instance, but Malachi is going to be a situational guy. Like, you're definitely going to be able to pick your spots a little more in the regular season with where you're going to play Malachi Lawrence. Caleb Downs very well, like most games, I think they're going to be standing out there going, we want you out there 100% of the time. And so, which do you need to prepare yourself more for? The guy who played at the smaller school who's going to be used situationally, or the guy who had the bigger pedigree but needs to be out there all the time?
Robert, you got me thinking on something right now, and it's preseason, so I'm going to ask you this question.
Yep.
Is it more important for Malachi Lawrence to have Gary and Ezraku than it is for Downs to have Durant to play in the slot?
More important for
their development,
for their own development. Yeah, I think it's more important for Malachi probably.
Okay.
Because Downs, I trust that he's going to develop wherever they want him to develop. Like when we look at Downs, I mean, you watched him. He is. You never want to say anybody's safe, but you feel like the floor for him is he's a decent player. Like that would be the very bottom for Caleb Downs. And I think he can apply that to whatever he does, whether he's playing in the box, whether he's playing the slot, whether he's playing deep middle, whatever. Malachi Lawrence, there's definitely more projection there. Like there's a wider spectrum of where he could end up as a player. And so I think that's the one that I'd be a little more gentle with his development, especially for a guy who,
so the safety net is having those 2 edge guys as rushers, so he doesn't have to be that guy.
Yes, assuming you can make Donovan Ezraku, or he becomes the safety net that you've projected him to be. Because obviously, little disappointing last year, and then start of this year, he's getting kicked out of practices, and he's had his issues this offseason where he had a legal issue and some things. You want to make sure that, all right, let's make sure we're not getting too far off of a path of what we envisioned you being.
Is there a chance? Is there a chance that that Lawrence could be better than him?
As the final upside, or you mean this year?
Just this year. That all of a sudden it's like, and they're just
sound like George Pickens. I do.
Yeah.
You wish your teeth were that good.
Veneers, they're amazing.
In your entire body.
They are some pretty teeth.
So they are. No, I think with Lawrence this year instantly, I didn't think Donovan Ezraku was a bad player last year. He just didn't get the sack numbers.
Yeah, I was hopeful that he would have more sacks.
I was too. My hair was hopeful.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Just watching
my eyeballs were hopeful.
Just watching him play at Boston College, I was kind of like,
he was the most pro ready. You felt like in terms of just being able to come in and rush the passer.
No question, and it was like, Who's this dude?
And he did. There were a lot of times he was super disruptive. There were a lot of games where you felt like, oh man, he's almost
got to finish a little bit better here.
And you got to not have Shoddy accepting the penalty when he picks up a sack against Washington. I would like if he didn't do that. But no, I think Ezeraku showed last year he can at the very least be a disruptive player who plays well within the bounds of what they want to do. I hope he can be ready. I think he can be ready, but I don't know for certain that Malachi Lawrence is ready to contribute regularly at the NFL level year one. Like, there's more of a question to me there of getting his feet wet and building him up to a place where it's like, okay, he's ready to go.
So you sound like that you were kind of ready to pick somebody else there then.
If it was all about this year, yes. Yeah. But this is a 3-year window they're trying to target for, so I don't have too big an issue with, say, especially because so much of what the scheme Parker believes in doesn't require them to have like some monster getting 15 sacks off the edge.
Sure.
Alden Smith did it for Vic Fangio.
But they need everybody to at least get 5, right?
They need people to be disruptive.
Yeah, you can't have one dude have 2, another guy have 1.
We talk about this a lot during the offseason because Christian Parker said it in interviews when he was in Denver. And I think it's really important to remember when you watch this defense play out. So if you've heard this before, sorry for the repeat. But for a lot of people who haven't heard this before, I think it's an interesting thing to consider, which is Christian Parker has talked about before in interviews back 5 years ago when he was in Denver. He said there are 2 primary ways that you choose to disrupt a quarterback. And he goes, the 2 primary ways are you speed up his clock or you mess with his eyes. Yeah. Like, those are the 2 ways that you can do it. He says speeding up a clock is great. You get pressure on him, force him into mistakes. It's awesome. He goes, unless you're playing against Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is primary. Yeah. Unless you're playing against Dak Prescott, like Micah found out last year, where Micah's like, if there's somebody else back here, I'm getting 10 sacks this game.
Right.
But, a really advanced quarterback goes, all right, we can double the speed if you want. Like, sure, I'll adjust. Like an elite, and Parker said in the interview, he said, elite quarterbacks, speeding up the clock isn't going to do a whole lot to them. They'll go, all right, I'll get the ball out. I'll get the ball out faster. I can still hit it this on time as long as my guys are where they are. They prefer... And he talked about this. He said, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers step to the line and look at the defense and go, there are usually 50 things I can subtract right off the bat that they're going to do, and I can't eliminate anything. So he goes, fast processors, overload them with as much information as possible. Don't give away anything. If you're a corner, you know what? You're not going to step to your leverage side. You're going to be zeroed up, and then at the snap, you're going to step to leverage. And yeah, maybe you're going to lose a half step there or whatever else. You're going to lose something on time. But what you're going to gain is 12 things that Aaron Rodgers can't eliminate by seeing you stepped over in leverage and going, okay, I know what this is going to be. So all that bringing it back to the pass rush to say that you want to be effective in the pass rush for sure. You still value the pass rush in a big way, but their biggest way of trying to disrupt NFL passing games is going to be messing with what the quarterback processes rather than trying to speed up his clock and pressure him quickly.
Are you a bubble wrap preseason guy, or do you wish they would run some more of these dudes out there?
I get if you want to bubble wrap some people and most veterans. I would not understand bubble wrapping Downs or Lawrence. Like, I would want to get them reps. Yeah. I want to get them speed reps. And the guys I wouldn't, as soon as Jayshawn Barham is good and you got this kind of, I want Barham to play then. Anybody,
I do too.
Young players, anybody who's still on, let's say, their rookie deal, who missed time in the offseason, because I don't want a Jalen Tolbert situation where Tolbert got a calf strain, fell behind, and never caught back up.
Yeah.
Like that can become an issue. So to me, it's let's not baptize Caleb Downs by fire and just say, hey, by the way, your first chance to see what NFL game speed looks like is going to be in a real moment. I'd rather not do that. I'd at least like to see him get, adjust his eyes, adjust things a little bit and go, okay, this is clearly at a different speed and everything happens a tick faster here. So bubble wrap Dak if you like, but sure. I would rather any younger player or players who had missed time, if they're available to go, I'd like them to get some reps in the preseason.
Bobby, my evaluation of the offensive line, the backup offensive line, lack of right now. Unless somebody needs to show up, whether Johnny Cornelius, Shelton, somebody, please show up for me. Do you worry about in this game or games in the preseason where the backup offensive line affects the evaluation of the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, and the running backs? And maybe even the tight ends. Maybe the lack of the lack of, like, say, for last year you had guys like Ball and others, that you have veteran guys that were playing.
Yeah.
That kind of could help you.
Yeah, the idea of like, am I hurting the guy who gets in second in the game because he doesn't have his receivers that are good as
Right.
Same sort of application.
Do you worry about that with this offensive line a little bit, or am I just making too much of it? That we're going to get evaluation no matter what.
Somewhat, but NFL offensive line, the big thing for me is just NFL offensive lines are so thin in general. Like, I remember I was talking to a coach a few years ago who's like, that's the thinnest position in football. He's like, we don't have enough players to fill every starting, like, we don't have enough NFL caliber players to fill every starting offensive line position in the NFL. There's a lot of guys who start in the NFL as patchwork guys or whatever else who should not be. But he's like, I mean, that's just the reality of, we don't have 160 good NFL starting caliber offensive linemen, and that's how many the league needs. And so it's a talent-starved position. So I know that when that question's come up in the past, the idea to me about, it's been suggested to me by other coaches before, the idea of receivers or offensive line or other positions that are maybe a little downgraded and they're in there. They go, yeah, but that's NFL war of attrition too. Yeah. Like, they may have to step in there in week 8 and CeeDee Lamb is not out there and they're going to have to run with that guy anyway. He goes, that's part of the evaluation for us, is seeing them stressed and seeing them with thinner resources.
Bobby, if I told you that that Sam Howell's going to start tonight, are you good with that?
Sure. As long as I'm seeing equal split.
Yeah, one's going to play one half, the other's going to play the other. Right?
Yeah, as long as we get whoever goes first can go first.
Is there a legitimate battle at second quarterback right now, or do you feel like that is Sam Howell's job?
No, I think they're genuinely trying to determine what they want to do there. I will say that they've got, I think, depending on the context of what they need to use the backup quarterback for during the regular season, may change who would play. Like, if Dak were to get knocked out week 1 and it's like, this is an ACL tear and he's gone for the year, then it may be Joe Milton. Like, there's no like, it may be a thing where they're like, well, let's develop Joe. Let's give Joe, like, it's the old Tom Moore, we're effed line. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, if we're screwed, let's develop the guy that we think there's upside there. Whereas if it's, I need 2 games, you may go, well, give me the Cooper Rush kind of starter. Give me Howell, who I think can just make me more competitive for 2 games, which is what ultimately I would want to achieve.
So it's going to be maybe like in the second half with Joe Milton just kind of running around making plays, right? Is that kind of what we're going to see in the second half tonight?
I mean, if he's, he can freelance a little bit. But look, I mean, tonight is such a big night for, it's the quarterbacks. I think there's real evaluation that they're going to have to make about the back end of the receiver room. Like, I
was going to ask you that because
Camden Brown, I think, is really like fighting for a job here.
I think there's 5 guys fighting for one job.
Yeah. And I think there's some who are probably have more of a leg up. It's probably not all the same odds, but Camden Brown's really.
I mean, could a guy like Mingo be like? Could he have a bad preseason and still make this team?
No, I don't think so.
So if there's a couple others better
I think Camden Brown could play, like, could have a good enough training camp.
Do you have Mingo in your 4, right, or 5 right now?
By default, yes.
Okay, so he's in it, but he could play himself on it or out of it.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
And I think
anybody
Brown,
else?
So yeah, I think it's the guys who are at the top. Obviously, it's 5 would be Mingo, Anthony Smith, Camden Brown, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling's been around. Scantling, I just have not seen anything that makes, other than just like, okay, you're a veteran, but I have not seen you separate from any of these other guys.
I think he's a limited guy tonight.
Yeah. Flournoy to me looks like, Flournoy has been an example, I think, for the last couple of years to them that I would think they would look at Anthony Smith or Camden Brown a little bit more like that.
Yeah, I would too.
Where it's like, let's try to let's see what maybe these guys can develop into. So I would be fine with that. Mingo did nothing really over the summer. He was a little bit better the first couple days of camp, I know. So
it was like the week I was there, he was doing his job.
Yeah.
And then since then, it's like,
whereas Camden Brown keeps doing more and more and keeps getting more opportunities.
Every opportunity he gets.
I think also linebackers and running backs. The running back is the one that most frequently I've had coaches say that's the one that the first preseason game we feel like the evaluation is like changes the most.
Yeah.
Where in a preseason game when we can see running backs actually having to break tackles and do things that they can't do in practice, that running back is oftentimes the position that they feel like this is the one we have the least confidence in what our eyes have seen up to this point until we see it here.
Yeah, how about Justin Barron showing up today? How about that?
That'd be great.
Because Justin Barron showed up. I mean, he went from, like, honestly, a guy that the practices I watched, and maybe, hey, I'm missing.
Little anonymous, yeah.
Yeah, but I know you were talking about him. Because I was listening to you on the radio,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, remember we talked about this guy. I'm apologizing to the kid right now if I missed him. Is there something you saw differently?
Barron was just a guy that I knew they liked his work ethic and his habits last year.
The people at Syracuse will tell you he's a great guy.
And size and athleticism-wise, this is not to say he's the same player. He athletically and physically, he measures up very similar to Zach Bond, who is a player that Christian Parker had in his defense.
Yeah, I've heard you say that.
And Scott Simons, a lot of the stuff that Simons looks for physically, like Justin Barron checks those boxes. So converted safety, got some coverage ability, converted receiver to safety to linebacker over his career. So athleticism, and I think they thought raw, but this organization has shown an affinity before for guys who it's like, we like it. Let's see if we can keep up with this position change, whether it's Keith Smith or Jameel Showers or Lewis Neal or whoever. Like, they always are trying to find guys that they believe in the work ethic.
Bob, you're the man. Thanks for the time, brother.
Love you all.
All right, there he goes. Cowboys insider Bobby Belt with us here on the official pregame show of America's Team. The creators of Buffalo Casino Games bring you Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat. Check out Aristocrat's newest casino game, NFL Super Grand Champions. Please contact 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over. All right, we continue to inch closer and closer to preseason game number 1 here on your home of the Cowboys. Let's take a look at who we're watching for tonight and a little glimpse of what's been going on in some other preseason games today. That's next right here on The Fan. hour, 2 hours and 15 minutes to kick off preseason game at number 1. Cowboys in Seattle taking on the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. I'm Eric Chiafalo alongside the Super Bowl champion himself, Brian Broaddus. Who you watching for tonight? 877-881-1053. What are you looking at over there, Broaddus? What do we got?
My girlfriend Michelle and my dad Larry are watching, so I was giving him a wave.
Yeah, Papa Broaddus.
I was giving him a little wave. He's sitting in his chair. He's probably going, "What the hell? Who is that?" Yeah, he's probably came. Yeah, it's me, Pops. But yeah, hey, are you going to ask? Are we going back? Is this a regular season thing that you do when you ask what people are cooking and stuff like that? Is that just a regular season thing? I always think that's cool when people chime in what they're making for the game.
No, we can definitely do it because whether you're a backyard griller, Cowboys tailgater, or a Pitmaster Pro, Meat Church has everything you need. Visit meatchurch.com, your ultimate destination for the finest rub, seasonings, and barbecue supplies. Matt Pittman and Meat Church, the official Pitmaster of the Dallas Cowboys. We got brisket, says the 214.
There we go.
Preseason brisket. That's getting it done. That's getting it done at a high level.
And you know what? If you're out there cooking in this 100-degree weather, salute to you. I mean, hey,
that's what summer's about, though. A Saturday in the summer.
I'll tell you what, though, man.
You got to have a pool.
You got to have some way to either be in the shade or something. You just can't stand. But man, I've learned it kind of affects pit temperatures. When the air gets to a certain, stuff gets hot. Mm-hmm. So you got to be a little bit careful of that if you're running at a certain temperature and all. But I'll tell you what, it takes a real pit master to be out there in 100-degree. But hey, if you're doing it, congratulations.
That's some serious cowboy dedication.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going with the summertime brisket right now, as you get set for preseason game number 1. But yes, please let us know what's on the game day spread. We will shout you out here, 877-881-1053. Now we got some names here, guys we're looking for tonight.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it starts outside of course, if Caleb Downs is going to be on the field for a handful of plays, all eyes on Downs.
He's I think that he is a guy that's on the limited snap list, if I had to say.
Yeah, which I understand, but however many plays he's out there, every Cowboys fan in the world is going to be watching.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 13, hopefully make a play or two. Malachi Lawrence as well, your other first-round pick, and then Jayshon Barham, your third-round pick out of Michigan. He's not going to play at all. Unfortunately, not going to play, dealing with the groin issue, but hopefully he's back and at least in for the Saints joint practice coming up here in the next couple of days, if he's available for that, and then we'll get him in a preseason game as soon as possible. But in terms of
the cornerback is not playing in this one, from what I understand.
Devin Moore out of Florida, Mr. I mean, he is more synonymous than anything when it comes to being banged up.
He's banged up.
Once again, he is. Yeah. Okay, that sucks for him, and that sucks for all of us because he's definitely a talented dude. I think the running backs, of course, like Jaden Blue not fumbling the football tonight is huge.
Yeah.
Phil Maffa, like those two in particular, but then even Abanikanda and Malik Davis, like which one of these guys is going to rise above the rest and everybody feels like, okay, you are RB2, sir.
Todd Archer of ESPN, a longtime beat writer covering this team, he said on our show the other day on 105.3 The Fan, the G-Bag Nation, he was talking about that he thinks this running back room is pretty good. He overall, he was not he was not saying, well, they don't got a guy, they don't know this, that. He was very complimentary of what he'd seen from the running backs. Felt good about the room.
Well, I'll tell you, the week that I was out there, I felt pretty good about him as well. Mm-hmm. You have Jaden Blue hitting some home run plays in the screen game as well. I think that would be a great little wrinkle into this offense if they can have a home run explosive guy to work in with a screen game, and they were working on it quite a bit when we were out there.
They sure were.
And he was looking good with that. Phil Maffa looked good. So when we left camp, I was feeling pretty good about those guys. But then you have Jaden Blue fumbling in the joint practice with the Rams, and you're back to square one. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, Jaden Blue. And I'm the biggest Jaden Blue hopium guy because I think this offense needs that home run threat out of the backfield in a way that Javonte Williams just simply can't give you. But if you're going to be fumbling the football, it doesn't matter how good you are.
They're not going to play him if he's fumbling the ball.
And the thing that's very difficult, I think, is when that narrative is out there about you. It was there in college. And now you still haven't gotten it cleaned up. You fumbled in the Denver game last year, and you only saw like 5 seconds of action all regular season. Like the scouting report, every defense is going, hey, if you see 23 out there, everybody punch at that football.
Hammer him. Yeah.
Everybody's coming for it. So
Right.
that's something. And listen, the Cowboys knew this when they drafted him.
Yeah.
So you would like to think they had some level of a plan for how can we get this remedied to where this guy's not fumbling the ball all the time. Everyone always thinks about Tiki Barber as a guy who had all sorts of fumble issues and then got it figured out and went on to have a really nice career. But that's something that is going to be a huge knock on Jaden Blue and will absolutely keep him off the field if he's going to continue fumbling the football. So that's certainly something we're watching for tonight. Hopefully he's got some chunk plays and just hanging on to the ball. But him and Maffa and Davis and Abanikanda, all those guys, because in practice you just don't really get to see the full scope of what a running back is able to do.
I think Maffa, in the practices I've seen, I think Maffa is ahead of Blue. And that's just not because of the fumbling stuff. I think that Maffa is closer to Williams. I think Williams actually has shown maybe a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit fresher. With the way that he's maybe coming in the offseason, he signed the contract. He's kind of got a little bit of pep to his step. Mm-hmm. He looks a little bit quicker getting to and through the hole. Maybe we were kind of worried about his knee last year coming off it. Sean Payton told me, he goes, "Listen, you got a great one there." I go, "Why did you get it?" He goes, "Well, he had other ways we were going with these backs." He goes, I think the kid's a really good player. He goes, "He's a year removed from a knee injury. You're going to like this kid." Mm-hmm. Sean tells me a lot of things that I need to listen to, and I just kind of wave him off. But he says a lot of things that you're going to kind of like go, okay, he was right about this one.
Yeah, well, Javonte was outstanding last year.
He said, he goes, "You are really going to like him."
Yeah, and well, he's another one of these guys like the Quinnen Williams, all these leadership dudes, these culture guys. Yeah. Javonte Williams is absolutely on that list of football lovers, great character dudes, and you love to have him on your team and in your locker room. Yeah. And then when you go out there and perform like you did last year, of course, you're going to go ahead and get that contract, and now you're running around with a little extra confidence knowing I am that dude.
I keep hearing you say this. Are you a culture guy now?
I do think it's important.
Like guys like Archer, we had him on. I don't think Archer felt it was very important.
Yeah.
I think it's like he's just like, hey, just go out and play.
Sure. It's hard to quantify. But, I mean, that was a knock on Micah. That's a knock on Diggs. Like you got to have guys that
want to play football.
Friggin' Mozzie Smith.
Yeah,
like you need guys that want to play football, and the talent has to be there.
Yeah.
So that's why you love when it's okay. Here's Quinnen Williams and an absolute dominant talent.
But there's the right kind of locker room that gets beat though too, right?
That's why you got to have the talent as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Rashawn Gary, I love the person you are. It was great meeting you, and I love what you have from a personality standpoint, leadership standpoint on this team. But gosh dang it, if you're going to give me 3 sacks this year, you didn't do much for me. It's a hard thing to quantify, right? But I do think it is important. Yeah. And it seems like Shoddy has this thing moving in the right direction with the guys that they have brought in. Now, other people were excited to see tonight. Of course, you mentioned Justin Barron at linebacker doing a nice job in the joint practice. Would be great to see him step up and show that you got a little bit more depth there at linebacker than maybe we thought coming in. In the secondary, I mean, how much Revel are we going to see? Because, of course, Revel's going to be a guy.
I believe he would be a guy on that kind of that pitch count list, too.
Okay, so we'll get a couple of reps out of him. Yeah. Beautiful. Want to see that. Amir Speed.
There you go.
Amir Speed is one of these no-name dudes out of Michigan State, and he's a free agent pickup. He's got 3 years of experience. He actually came from the UFL.
UFL, yeah. So
they signed him a little bit late. And
they've had some luck with these UFL guys.
Yeah. Yeah, Turpin, I think, is the first one that comes to mind. Yep. But Amir Speed, number 39, watch for him tonight when he gets out there because he's built like Pickens. I mean, he looks like Pickens playing corner. He's 6'3", he's 215 pounds. And again, for the week that we were out there, he was a guy that was making plays and really solid in coverage across the board. I mean, he was doing it against all these guys.
Yep.
At wide receiver. So Amir Speed's a guy to watch for tonight that when you start thinking about your darlings and guys you sort of fell in love with that were under the radar, he was one of those guys for me. I love that you mentioned in crosstalk Julius Wood, number 32, the safety. He's 6'1", 210 out of East Carolina. Year number 2 for him. And he showed out, him and Elijah Clark, with P.J. Locke and Jalen Thompson being your free agent guys that have come in, your veterans, and we're all super excited about Jalen Thompson. But we know he's a guy that gets banged up. P.J. Locke, same thing. There is going to be a time this year where you need a guy like Julius Wood or a guy like Elijah Clark on a Sunday in the regular season filling in and starting.
Yeah.
And so this is huge opportunities for them, and it was good to see them show out and play with some physicality and getting their hands on some footballs out there in Oxnard.
Okay, Thompson, Locke, Downs, Hooker. You keeping more than 4?
Generally, how many do you do? I think when you're playing a Christian Parker defense where you're maybe doing 3 safeties at a time, I mean, it would be hard for me to cut Julius Wood from what I've seen from him.
Yeah.
And if he continues that into these preseason games,
Yeah.
I mean, that would not be a guy I'd be wanting to let go. I think you got a little something there. And again, I don't trust the durability of Thompson for as much as I'm excited about him. And PJ Locke.
Yeah.
You're going to need guys like Julius Wood and Elijah Clark in the back end of this defense playing for you on a Sunday. Okay, we got a lot of people texting in. People are eating tonight, Broadus.
Good for them. Good for them.
We got the brisket going in the 214.
There we go.
We got the lemon pepper, chicken wings, and the best damn fajitas in the world, allegedly, according to the 361. 254's got the queso and taquitos with a bunch of shiners to wash it down. That's fantastic.
That's a great menu right there.
Oh, you're going to like this one.
Yeah.
972 went with some homemade hibachi, fried rice, noodles, chicken,
you
steak,
know what?
veggies,
There you
Blackstone.
go.
That's Daniel and Prosper.
There you go. That is what absolutely on the Blackstone too. Standing over that thing. I mean that. Listen,
nothing but respect for Daniel and Prosper.
Absolutely.
Tonight.
The fried rice on that thing is amazing.
Just a lazy Saturday with cheesecake and the 214-575 Cajun smoked crab legs. That's Alan from Cape Coral, Florida. Thanks for rocking with us here on the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys. We are just over 2 hours to kick off preseason game number 1. Let's go behind enemy lines live from Seattle. It's Dave Wyman of the Seahawks Radio Network. Joins us next right here on The Fan.
Tailgating without nature's own buns? Flag on the play.
This is the Dallas Cowboys pregame show, brought to you by Bell Nunnally. Behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods. Get your Tyson Cowboys Star Nuggets available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
All right, we're grooving here on your Cowboys pregame show. Great to have you in. Eric Chiafalo, the Super Bowl champion, Brian Broaddus, and it's time to go behind enemy lines as we are now just under 2 hours to kick off preseason game number 1. Cowboys in Seattle taking on the Super Bowl champions. Let's welcome in Dave Wyman of the Seahawks Radio Network. Dave, thanks for the time, bro. How you doing?
I'm good, Eric and Brian. Glad to be on with you.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it. I can only imagine this has been the greatest offseason of your existence, just soaking in the championship euphoria.
Yeah, it was very short, that's for sure, but it happened quickly. But, yeah, and every year I go, I'm not ready, but I'm ready this year, man. That was really exciting. It was a fun journey last year.
No question about it. And now you guys got the Hard Knocks thing going, talk of the town. I love this Mike McDonald fella, dude. How's the Hard Knocks stuff treating you guys?
No, it's been good. You know, I thought it was going to be more intrusive, and it's really not been that bad. And a lot of the players, you know, we've asked them, because do my radio show from out there, and you know, we get a player every day, and they don't really, not a lot of complaints. You never know who's going to be the star, but I'm glad that we got like a healthy dose of Mike McDonald, kind of getting him introduced to everybody, because I think he was kind of a mystery. And but yeah, I'm starting to find more and more out about him, like some of his phrasing and some of the things that he said. When he first came here, he talked about chasing edges, and nobody really ever knew what that meant, you know. And now you're starting to see it, you know, just every opportunity. And last year, I thought maybe the best example of that was special teams. I had never seen a special team group that made more plays than they did with their special teams, with the returns and punt returns and fumble recovery in the end zone, because the Steelers didn't know the rules. And, you know, so yeah, it's he runs a really tight ship, and I think the players really like that, you know, he kind of puts himself out there as kind of an awkward nerd.
Yeah, he's an interesting and likable personality, coupled with the incredible football IQ and the defensive mastermind. I mean, it is a beautiful time to be a Seahawks fan. There's no question about it. You know, one of the things that jumped out to me, soaking in some of the Hard Knocks, I had no idea we were measuring spin rates for quarterbacks, and here comes Sam Darnold leading the league in spin rate. What the heck, man? Was that news to you as well?
It was actually, and my producer for our radio show was complaining that it was 61 seconds long, and I was like, I thought it was the most awesome thing ever. I sat there with my mouth open, watching it the whole time, going, this is awesome. And, you know, I talk about how in bad weather, and, you know, that it makes the ball more catchable, and, you know, I thought that was really cool. It was kind of like a missile coming in, you know, like a guided missile. But yeah, I mean, Sam has been really a good leader, and I think, you know, I think there's a lot of people that thought maybe he was going to come back and say, hey, you know, maybe we can redo my deal. But, you know, he plays on a team with a defense that kept them in a game in which he threw 4 interceptions. Yeah. And that was their last loss last year against the Rams. So, you know, I think Derek Hall, another guy who's the star of the show, you know, he signed a deal that was like $18 million less than what Boye Mafe got. Or I think it was, $18 million less. So, and it was probably maybe more upfront money and things like that. But really, I just think it's one of those places that players want to be. And for, you know, we didn't hear a peep out of Sam Darnold about maybe, or his agent about maybe he wants to sweeten the pot a little bit with his contract, and, you know, you didn't really hear any of that. So yeah, it's become a place, I think, like a destination where players, they want to be here.
Dave, we're going to see you a little bit later in the season, so it'll be a lot different then. But right now, you know, how do you think you guys are going to play it tonight? You know, there's a lot of teams. I know Dallas is going to rest a lot of their starters and stuff like that, look at some backup guys. And if you're going to play with your backup guys, are there a couple of guys that we need to be alert for that can maybe give some of our guys some issues?
Yeah, Montori Foster Jr. has had a really good camp, and he's a wide receiver. And it's kind of interesting, that story, because you have so many targets. Like A.J. Barner last year kind of burst onto the scene as maybe a Kelsey quality type of tight end. And so you have him, and then you have Elijah Arroyo, who is this huge, fast guy, 255 pounds, and he's had a really good camp. Rashid Shaheed, Torrey Horton, and then, of course, you've got your, JSN and Cooper Kupp. So
right.
It'll be interesting, and he's in that group, so he's had a really good camp. So I think he might be pretty interesting. But yeah, yesterday when Mike was talking about who's going to sit, I couldn't move my pen fast enough. I mean, there was lots of names that are probably just going to be sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, for your broadcast tonight, the same thing. Just take the first part of your flip card and just eliminate it. And then everything behind your flip card on the second line, you can go ahead and circle as guys that will be played. With the pressure of winning the Super Bowl and stuff like that, overall, though, how do you think the team, the organization, how they handle that? We always kind of think about the teams that it's such a grind to go and win that Lombardi. But how's the team overall? You mentioned the short off season. How's the team kind of taking all this in going forward?
Yeah, I think Mike has been, like I said, he's very particular about wording and phrasing. And so, instead of run it back, they're like, okay, we're going to run it forward, and we're not Super Bowl champs. We were last year. We're not this year. Those kinds of things. So, yeah, I think they're very hungry. I've never met a group of coaches that are more thoughtful about how they present things to the players. And how they, we listened to Brian Fleury, and this is now the third offensive coordinator in as many years since Mike has been here. So, that's a little bit of a, kind of a hesitation. You lose your running back, a good defensive back. I'm not so sure about Boye Mafe, whether that was a loss or not. Reek Woolen. And then, probably the biggest loss is Clint Kubiak, because Kubiak really got things going at the end of the season. I talk about how the defense helped Sam, but the running game in the end, and I mean, K9 averaged 100 yards a game in the 3 playoff games, including the Super Bowl. So getting that running game going, I think, is going to be the biggest challenge. But like I said, I mean, listening to Brian Fleury, just a very intellectual guy. He's very careful about how he presents things to the players. He had a story yesterday in the production meeting about how he was trying to decide whether it was better for him to deliver a message to the offense or Sam Darnold to deliver the message. And so they're very particular about how they communicate. So I think Mike, to answer your question, I think he's done a good job, with the phrasing of everything and how the approach and how to take on this, this burden of being the former Super Bowl champs.
Behind Enemy Lines with Dave Wyman of the Seahawks Radio Network with us here on The Fan. Yeah, you mentioned Brian Fleury coming in and replacing Clint Kubiak at OC. How different does the offense look schematically here? Is it pretty similar, or is this going to be kind of a big shift?
I don't think it's going to be a huge shift. You look at what people are running, and, Fleury had been down with Sam Darnold down in San Francisco. And so I think, if you can picture the 49ers run game, a lot of motion, trying to get angles on blocks. And, I think it's going to be pretty close to what they were doing last year. But, because they coach together. Clint Kubiak and Brian Fleury. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be, and I think the coaches took the burden as far as the terminology. It's let's have one guy change his terminology instead of, 30 guys having to change, what do you call this? What do you call that? I went to Denver my 7th year, and, I'm we were split backs and I backs, and they called it green and orange. I'm like, what the hell do you call it that for? Why don't you just call it split backs or eye backs? And so, yeah, there's always that kind of terminology But I think that Brian Fleury has kind of taken on the majority of, relearning everything and what to call things, so it's similar to last year. And that, hopefully will help the transition.
Dave, do you ever get used to playing in that buzzsaw of a division you guys play in? I mean, every week, my gosh, you have to deal with all that. I mean, and listen, in Dallas, we can't beat Arizona, so we're kind of like, they're like, it's like playing Super Bowl champs. But just how do you think the Hawks navigated again this year? How do you think it plays out for you?
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of close games. I don't know if Arizona, they were winless in the NFC West last year, so I'm not sure what kind of advance they're going to take. But, my radio partner and I, the other day, we're making the case that maybe San Francisco is a bigger concern than the Rams. Sure. Because of, what they got. Mac Jones went 5-3 last year and, threw for over 300 yards a number of times. It's a really well-coached team. They got some really good pieces, and it's going to be tough in the NFC West. So, if they're able to win that again, they'll be ready for the playoffs.
Well, you know what? John Snyder, your general manager, he was my intern in Green Bay. So
really?
So I call him my $4.5 million intern is what I call him. And so, Johnny, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I was going to say, hey, I'm going to ask Dave if you'll tell me what surplus you got on your roster this year. So when we watch those final cuts, he said, "Don't you dare do that." So I won't make you ask that question. But it is a deep roster, though. John has done a really, really nice job with your roster.
He really has. And, some of the in-season signings, like when Mike first got here, they had Dodson and Baker as the two inside backers. They traded one and cut one during the bye week, like halfway through the season, and they bring in Ernest Jones. And Ernest Jones has been phenomenal. He may be the most overlooked player. He wasn't even in the top 100. Guy had 6 interceptions last year, made a ton of plays. He really made this whole defense go. So, Leonard Williams was one that, and you go back in, Schneider's career and look at Dwayne Brown. Sure. They brought him in at one point. Yeah. He's on a heater. He really is. Yeah. And, the draft, Gray Zabel could not be a more mature person and a great player. He was their first rounder last year. The year before that, it was Byron Murphy, who might be Mike McDonald called Byron Murphy, and also Riley Mills, who I think is like a 4th or 5th rounder. He was the one that just bull rushed the guard and grabbed Drake May and threw him to the ground. He said those are 2 of the best tackles he's ever seen, Mike McDonald. So, it's John just continues to get the right players, and I think a lot of it is just alignment of John knowing exactly what Mike needs. Sure. And so they both have been just hitting them out of the park lately. Yeah,
well, I'll tell you what, though, Dave, they kick him out of the room when they're drafting all these guys, because if it was up to him, he'd draft a running back every single pick if he could. He would absolutely.
I'll tell him.
He would. Tell him. Brian Broaddus said he would draft a running back every single pick if he could. No, Johnny loves running backs. When we were in Green Bay together, he thought he envisioned himself as Walter Payton. If he had the spats and all that when he was playing there at St. Thomas, so you could have a little fun. He was a good little player, by the way. John Snyder was a good little player there from De Pere, Wisconsin. So
he always makes fun of me and tells me that I could never play in his defense or his team or whatever. I'm like, that's because I was required to weigh 255 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Guards.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad you have a great working relationship with John. Please do, if you run into him, tell him Brian Broaddus said to say hello. He's a great dude. He really is.
Yeah, well, he really is. He really is. Just a good person.
How about the rookie back there, first rounder, Jadarian Price? Will we see him tonight, and how's he looked in camp so far? Is he going to be kind of the workhorse until Charbonnet comes back?
Yeah, they're hoping so. And I saw him have a couple of really good practices. What's funny is Sean Alexander said he thinks he's going to be the only rookie that rushes for 1,000 yards this year. He reminds me of Sean Alexander. He really does.
Wow, it's good comp.
he's got great vision, and really it's just about his decision making. If you go back and look at like his performance at the combine, where the guys are moving the bags and there's no stutter step. It's just very direct cuts, and that's what I've seen out at practice. He kind of runs on his heels a little bit, kind of like Sean used to, but he's effective. So, but look, I mean, we haven't had, full speed, tackle to the ground type of things, but I'm probably not going to see him. He's got some sort of, and this is a Mike McDonald thing, it's almost like hockey. When he does the injury report, they do lower body or upper body. Like, you're not getting oblique or hamstring or groin or anything like that. So it's a lower body injury that Jadarian Price has right now. So I don't think we're going to see him tonight.
Locally, we did love the safety out of TCU, Bud Clark, that you guys nabbed up in the draft. How's he looked out there?
He looks great, man. I mean, and Mike said this yesterday, Mike McDonald, that he's quietly had a really good camp. When they were doing the OTAs and everything in the rookie camp, he was all over the place, making plays. He's a ball hawk. And but he's just got a great energy about him. So they did lose Kobe Bryant, so he's looking pretty good. And then the thing you love about him, like his face, it lights up like a jack-o'-lantern. Like it's all teeth and eyes and smile and energy. And I hope he plays the way that he interviews, because we had him on our show.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, he's a fantastic kid. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Witherspoon. He's got that same kind of energy.
I love it, man. And Witherspoon just got the bag, so congratulations to him. One of the best in the business. Nick Immanwari, I'm sure he'll get healthy and be dominant again. But we got to get you out on Terrion Arnold. What's the deal here, man? They're bringing him in, and he's going to be rocking with the Seahawks. Are they expecting him to play, like, pretty quick?
No, I think it's like more of a mid-season type of play, like a depth, because they're not paying him a lot of money, number one, and then also, there's probably going to be some kind of a suspension or something like that, so they're not really counting on him. They do need some help at corner. They need some guys to step up, because you have Witherspoon and Josh Jobe, but I just think it's a crime playing Witherspoon on the outside. He's so good in the box and so valuable that if he's on the outside, it's almost like you're wasting it. So yeah, they do need some help at that position, but I don't think they're thinking of it as anything that's going to be terribly quick. I mean, it's going to be something like a play for maybe mid-season type of depth. And then the other thing is people, talking about the character and everything. If you watch that, the Hard Knocks, and that's just really the way it is every day, there's no way they would sacrifice the character part of it, because they have a really good team of guys that care about each other. And so somebody that's selfish or not a good person, doesn't fit in, is not going to be welcome here. So I think they think, John knows everybody in the NFL, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, they've put out feelers and asked about him, and, they talked to Jalen Milroe, who was his teammate. And so, that part of it, if they say he's okay character-wise, then I'm going to take their word for it. I think they've gotten the benefit of the doubt on that part.
Well, Dave, this has been a real treat for us, man. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll have to do this again, circle back in the regular season. What do you say?
Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you guys again, and I'll definitely give Schneider a hard time.
Please do. Tell him,
Yes.
Tell him his buddy in Dallas, Texas is thinking about him, and don't beat up on us too bad. Keep them all upright tonight, Dave. Please do that for us all.
All right, guys. Good talking to you.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you, Dave. Dave Wyman, Seahawks Radio Network, with us here on the official pregame show of America's Team, brought to you by Reliant. Reliant is proud to power the home of the Dallas Cowboys and the homes of Cowboys fans across Texas. Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. And we are sitting here, hour and 40 minutes to kick off preseason game number 1. Let's go back out to Seattle and welcome in our buddy Babe Laufenberg next right here on The Fan.
Bell Nunley has been committed
1, Cowboys in Seattle taking on the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. And let's go live to Lumen Field in Seattle and welcome in our good buddy Babe Laufenberg for the first time this 2026 season. Babe, how the heck you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Isn't it great to have football back?
Yes.
I mean, it's just, yeah.
Feels good.
The other
Feels
sports
right.
are fine. Other sports are fine, but they're just sort of they're like the opening act when you go to a concert, right? And you're waiting for the headliner.
Yes.
The headliner is football.
That's
in
right.
the sports world.
That's right. And we are here, and it is beautiful. And this is a big night for a lot of youngsters. First NFL game for many of these dudes. What do you imagine is going through their minds?
Yeah, it is a big night, and I don't care how high a level you played at in college. It's just different when you put on an NFL uniform, right? It just is. And, Caleb Downs, right, played in big game after big game. Alabama, Ohio State. And this isn't the end of the world for him tonight, but it's going to be different. You're in the NFL, and they're going to be butterflies for all of them. They're going to have to get the kinks out. But one thing I always talk to kids about, players, high school kids, whatever it is, your body is telling you you're about to do something different. And I always remember reading Joe Montana saying, if I don't have butterflies in the locker room before the game, I'm not ready to play. So here is the coolest customer alive, right? His nickname was Joe Cool. And he said, if I don't have butterflies, I'm not ready to play. So that's not a bad thing. Again, your body is telling you, hey, I'm about to do something different.
I love it. Yeah. What do you remember about your first preseason game, babe?
Oh, wow. It's funny. It was against Miami. Believe it or not, it was a rematch. It was 1983 and a rematch of the previous year's Super Bowl between Washington and Miami in the preseason, of course. And we were on national TV. And back in the day when everything, you didn't have all these national TV games, and Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen did the game. And Dick Enberg said it warms all the Enberg's heart to know there's a Luff Enberg on the field.
That's fantastic.
That was great.
Was that at the old Orange Bowl? Or we played this one at RFK.
No, yeah, we were at RFK, yeah, and back then, the starters played half the game.
Oh, sure.
So the place was full.
Yeah.
Place was rocking. It was a lot of fun. It's not like it is today where obviously the starters do not play.
Right.
And so we had a big. They had a big crowd. It was packed. It was sold out. And again, it was one of those days where you said, "Man, this is the NFL. This is cool."
Good deal. Well, babe, you've been in camp. I assume you were there all last week, right?
Yes, sir.
Leading up to
Yes,
this
sir.
game. All right.
Yep.
Hearing word that Sam Howell's going to get the start. Kind of wondered where you were at with the backup quarterback situation, just from some of the things you may be seeing, some of the things you've heard, some of the things you might expect tonight from both quarterbacks getting to play.
Yeah, and I think they're going to each go a half. Sam will obviously take the first half, but I've always liked Sam Howell. I liked him coming out. I've liked him all the way through the career, so I'm a little biased. And as we all know, if you like a guy coming out, you come up with reasons or maybe excuses why it hasn't panned out for the guy, right?
Yeah.
And when you don't like the guy coming out and it doesn't pan out for him, you say, I never liked him. I told you. Sam Darnold's a great example of that. My son was actually coaching at USC Sam's senior year, the year he came out. Mm-hmm. So I went down, saw a couple practices, and saw him in person, obviously, and we all saw him, right? We all saw him play. And, I thought, hey, this guy's going to do it. And it took him 5 teams, right, before he, arrived and did it. But he's here now. Matter of fact, Sam Darnold has won the most games. First time anybody's ever won 14 games in consecutive seasons. He did it in Minnesota, obviously, 2 years ago, and then in Seattle here last year.
Babe, if you're in a situation right now where you're in this game and you're one of these quarterbacks, do you worry about, though, the offensive line a little bit? I mean, there's been times with and I say this from the evaluation standpoint.
Yeah.
I say that from, if I'm a receiver that's, I'm not one of the top 4 guys right now. I don't need my quarterback running around for his life trying to find me out there. Is there, and maybe the line will play great. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this. But is there a little bit of a concern as that quarterback of hey, am I going to get a fair evaluation, or is this something that, you just have to go with?
Yeah, I would say the latter. You're not concerned because the minute you say, oh, gosh, you get to the line, can my right guard block their tackle? I'm in trouble. You can't be thinking like that. I will tell you, though, you get up to the line of scrimmage, and let's say they're playing press man, and you're going to get a fade, and you look to your right, and you really don't like that guy. And then you look to your left, and you really don't think he's going to get a good release. So that's when it becomes problematic. And I guarantee you, Sam Howell, the twos work with the twos.
Yeah,
and
they
the
do.
threes kind of work with. So you're not to say he wouldn't like George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb out there, even if he hasn't worked with them a ton. But you do get used to those guys and how they come out of breaks and all that kind of stuff. So, again, you got to just find that one guy that you like and try to get him the football.
Babe Laufenberg with us here on The Fan.
And you hope that everybody up front blocks everybody they're supposed to do. So so Jim Maurer ain't running out there with a spatula getting you off the field, right?
And that's just something, honestly, you just have to trust them.
You do.
Now, they may not earn your trust or deserve your trust, but the minute you start looking down to see, gosh, is my right tackle blocking their defensive end, it's over. You got to keep, the eyes are going to be downfield, and you just live with whatever happens. Now, very quickly, Joe Milton is the better athlete, but Sam Howell has an escapability dimension to him. Mm-hmm. A little bit like Romo. Romo, I don't even know if he ran 4.9, but boy, he had an escapability factor to him. And I think Sam Howell has that same, little like Baker Mayfield. He actually reminds me of Baker Mayfield. And I don't know if it's the body type. They're both a little bit short, squatty, and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But, Baker, he's not a 4 or 5 guy, but he can certainly make yards on the ground.
Now, Babe, over under 2.5 interceptions tonight for Justin Barron.
Let me just tell you, I was at the practice, and that was so great because they're going on 2 fields, right? And we were only allowed to be in the end zone, but I have my binoculars. I'm trying to look at Cowboys offense on this side and then Rams offense on this side. I look at it seemed like every time I look up, Justin Barron is running with the ball the other way. And all of it interceptions, they weren't diving on the ground. They were all these little crosses where he caught it. And he might have gone for touchdowns on all of them. Let me just say this, he had 3 more interceptions in a little practice than the New York Jets had all last season.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's a great nugget. Yeah.
Very quickly, though, I talked to him this past week. He came to Syracuse, which is where he played, as a wide receiver. His first 7 games were at wide receiver. Yeah. And then he asked to be switched over to safety, which they did, and then he ate his way into the linebacking position.
Nice.
So I told him, I said, you see receivers maybe go play corner when they go to defense, maybe safety, but you don't see receivers converted to linebackers, but that's where he is.
Babe, predict the most knee-jerky thing we're going to get out of this game tonight.
Oh, wow. It probably always goes to the quarterback, right? Sure. I don't think we're going to knee-jerk on the right guard. You're not going to see him that much.
Well, maybe if the right guard plays really well tonight, we might have to, because
but as you know, you got to look at the tape. Yeah. I won't know if the right guard dominates until we go back and wow,
absolutely,
that guy had a heck of a game. But we will see the quarterback, and as you guys know, judgments will be made, and whichever quarterback has the better game tonight, it will be, there's your backup, and the other guy sucks. Hey, quickly, how much time do we have here?
We got a good 2 minutes. The floor is yours, babe.
I just want to hit something. Number one, this Lumen Field, which it's now called, is one of my favorite stadiums. Lambeau is obviously at the top of the list. I'm going to take AT&T off the list since the Cowboys play there, but I love this stadium. It's really well laid out. The crowd is into it, as we know the 12's up here. But so many things have happened with the Cowboys for a non-divisional team. If they're in your division, you play them twice a year, every year. You might play them 3 times if it's a playoff matchup. But I'm going to go back 20 years here. DeMarcus Ware, his very first preseason game was here in Seattle. Yeah. He played the first half. He had 2 sacks, an interception, a strip fumble, a fumble recovery. It was just, he announced himself that, hey, I'm going to be a great player. And obviously he became that. Go to 2006, Tony Romo's first start. He was 4 years into it. It was his first preseason start. And he played the entire game. And at that time, nobody had played an entire game in the preseason for 10 years. So you knew Parcells had something brewing, letting him play that game. It was Tony Romo's last game that he started in the preseason here. When he got injured, it obviously opened the door for Dak.
Yeah.
The bobble, the playoff game, the bobble. It was Bill Parcells'
Yeah.
last coaching game was here in Seattle. He retired after the Cowboys and never coached again. So anyway, so many
Lot of
things
history.
have happened in the stadium, again, for a non-divisional opponent.
I will say this: if they would have won the Dez catch game, I
Yeah.
think they go to Seattle in the NFC Championship game and win that one too.
You know, there were a lot of people that felt that way, coaches, as you know.
Yeah.
They had beat Seattle earlier, so they did not
mashed
they
them
were not-
running the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were not afraid of that matchup, and
Yeah.
obviously didn't get it because of the of the catch that was not a catch that day, but would be a catch today.
I also think about the Ezekiel Elliott truck stick on Cam Chancellor. I think that was also a preseason game as well.
You want to talk about, again, I always say guys announce themselves.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Ware announced himself like, hey, I'm going to be a player. And that play there, Eric, I mean, I said, well, okay. I mean, he was the 4th pick of the draft, so it wasn't like, where'd this guy come from? But that was impressive.
No question about it. Well, babe, you're the man. We appreciate the time, and have a great call tonight. We'll be listening.
Okay, thank you both. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
There he goes, Babe Laufenberg with us here on The Fan. How about that? DeMarcus Ware is getting first half reps and snaps. And
yeah.
Malachi Lawrence will see him for 7 plays tonight.
Lots,
What are we doing?
Lots changed over the years. We actually used to practice football twice a day back then too.
Yeah, they used to play real football at training camp and
Yeah.
everything. I mean, what a time that must have been for you.
But it was a great time to evaluate. But you also held your breath every single play.
Yeah.
You're like, oh gosh, we're doing bull in the ring over here. What are we doing?
Bull in the ring.
Little Oklahoma drill. What are we
Wait,
doing?
Was there an NFL practice that was doing bull in the ring? Like, can you think of a time that bull in the ring was an NFL practice? 'Cause I did that in Pee Wee, and I think that's the last time I ever
Did bull
did
in the
it.
ring ever make you really tougher? I mean, did you ever hit anybody in the back doing bull in the ring?
No, it was never in the back. It was usually a big enough circle to where the guy was able to
They
turn around
real
enough in
quick.
time.
Yeah,
But it was CTE inducing.
yeah, but you wouldn't like run your own teammate in the back, would you? If you had a bull in the ring situation?
I mean, you wouldn't want to spear the guy like that.
No,
but it's
hell no.
also like turn around, bro.
Yeah.
This is the drill.
I just remember full pads of both practice in the morning and then the evening. I just always remember having full pads. It was just, and now it's to the point where they practice twice and then they get a day off. I mean,
and even when they practice, it's not real football. You're not actually tackling.
it is the NFL though. We enjoy it
It's incredible.
We enjoy it.
Yeah.
We enjoy it.
And being in Oxnard is one of the greatest things ever, so we appreciate it.
We appreciate the practice.
All right, let's get the scoop from the best in the business. Christy Scales, Cowboys
Scoop!
preseason game number 1, an hour and 21 minutes to kick off. Christy joins us next right here on The Fan.
When you're facing serious criminal accusations, every decision matters. This isn't about excuses or sympathy. It's about controlling what happens next.
When the allegations are serious, you need criminal defense attorneys who know how to protect a case from the very first step. Barberi Law Firm is trusted to defend the most serious criminal charges, bringing discipline, precision, and discretion where there is no margin for error.
Call 972-499
The Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, brought to you by Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
All right, we're an hour and 15 minutes to kick off preseason game number 1. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and it is great to have you in the official pregame show of America's team. I'm Eric Chiafalo alongside the Super Bowl champion Brian Broaddus, and now it is time to go live to Seattle and welcome in the best in the business for the first time in 2026. It is Christy Scales with us here on The Fan. Christy, how the heck are you doing?
I am awesome. Thank you, Eric. And it's really cool to open the preseason here in Seattle. It's always a great crowd in Seattle, but obviously them coming off the Super Bowl win, and I think a lot of people that might have given up, some of their season tickets for preseason are here early to celebrate. Of course, we do have a pretty good contingent of Cowboys fans here early behind the Cowboys bench, but it's not going to be like next week in Phoenix, where it's going to be mostly Cowboys fans. So I think that the decibel level will not be regular season level, but certainly something that you don't normally have to contend with in preseason. I think especially early in the game, the fans are going to be real excited to see the Seahawks, even if it's not, the star starters out there.
All right, Christy, I'm going off script. How the hell did you get to meet Dustin Hoffman?
Well, he was his daughter-in-law and son. Dustin's 89th birthday was the week before.
Okay.
He wanted to go out to Cowboys camp.
Good for him.
His daughter-in-law had worked previously with Jerry Jr. So that was the Jerry Jones Jr. So that tied into the connection to the Cowboys. But he was there the whole practice. He went up and was watching from Jerry Jones's raised platform between the two fields, and afterwards he came down and he didn't do any questions with the media. He posed for some photos, but walking through the tennis courts back to the parking lot, they were getting ready to leave, and Jake Ferguson stopped and asked him for a photo and wanted to shake his hand, and Jake told him that he had studied film in college and was excited to meet him. And so anyway, Jake walks off and Dustin says to his son, "Now who is that?"
Yeah.
and he says that's Jake Ferguson. He's a tight end, and I happened to be walking by at that time. I said, "Oh, no, Pro Bowl tight end at that." And so anyway, we stopped and I had maybe a 3 or 5 minute conversation with Dustin Hoffman. So that was awesome.
That is awesome. All right, now that's important to me. I'm glad we got that going. Clayton Adams going to call us some ball plays. What's going on with that?
Not tonight. Not tonight. And part of it, and believe it or not, Brian, Shoddy wants to get back in the groove because he has not been calling plays in practice like previous years and didn't call plays in the joint practice against the Rams last Tuesday. So, Shoddy getting back in the groove. But I did talk to Clayton just earlier today, and he said that it's still possible that in preseason game 2 or game 3 that he might call some plays, but that is not the plan for tonight.
How about any surprises with guys playing tonight or maybe guys not playing?
Well, there are 25 usual suspects, starters, that are not playing coach's decision, and then you have 4 guys who aren't playing because they're injured. But a couple of guys who were fighting for roster spots, including one who got cut at the end of last year before being re-signed to the practice squad, then getting elevated to the 53-man later in the season and having a great year. But Ryan Flanoy isn't playing tonight. Neither is Brevin Spanford, the tight end, who has surpassed Luke Schoonmaker, who will play tonight. Very limited reps, about 6 to 8 snaps for Luke Schoonmaker. Schoonmaker, by the way, is an offensive captain tonight, so it's not that Schoonmaker is in the doghouse, but Brevin Spanford, they don't need to see anything from him. So Schoonmaker will get to the first couple of series, and then we'll see a lot of DJ Rogers and Michael Trigg after that. On the defensive side of the ball, Donovan Ezeraku, even though young guy and coming off an injury, they know what they have. He's had an outstanding camp so far. So second-year player Ezeraku is not is being held out at the game tonight, coach's decision. And then Otito Obonya, who's a guy who's had a really fine camp, and he's one of these additions in the offseason that has really flown under the radar. But he's a starting defensive lineman next to Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, and he is. They don't need to see anything from him. I will say that Caleb Downs and Malachi Lawrence playing tonight mildly surprises me, especially Caleb Downs. Do we really need to see Caleb Downs? But the plan for Caleb is only about 6 to 8 plays. Malachi would get a little more, maybe about 13 to 17 plays. And then Revel, who's had an outstanding cap at corner. Kobe Durant, by the way, is not playing tonight. He and Deron Bland are the only corners not playing. But with Revel, he's only going to get about 6 to 8 snaps tonight.
All right. Appreciate all that.
Hey, let me tell you about wide receivers, though,
okay,
because
go ahead. Yeah.
because there are so many wide receivers who aren't playing. CD, I mentioned Flanoy, Turpin's not playing. CD and George Pickens, of course, aren't playing. But with Mingo and Valdez Scantling, two guys who've been in the league a few years, and they're battling for a spot, right? When you got a guy like Camden Brown really coming along and getting a lot of love the past 2 weeks of camp. But Mingo and Valdez Scantling are in that 13 to 17 play range tonight.
Gotcha. Appreciate the heads up on that. The only person that will know this is you. What coaches are on the field and what coaches are in the box this year?
Oh, okay. Well, on the offense, it's the same as last year, except one of the changes is we have an assistant running back coach who changed. His name is Jamel Matunga. He's going to be upstairs. But on defensive side of the ball, that's where the wholesale changes are, of course. And so Christian Parker is going to be on the sideline. That's no surprise. He'll be calling plays from the sideline. But I'm mildly surprised that Ryan Smith, the DB's coach, is going to be up in the booth. Just because there's going to be so much shuttling of players, right? These young guys trying to get these corners and safeties, so many decisions to make, and so many logistical things that happen early in these preseason games where the guys are going in and out. But I talked to Ryan a little bit earlier, and in his previous stops in his career, he's been up in the booth. He just likes the way that you can see the field up there. So his choice, he wants to be up there, but that means that Derek Ansley, who is the new defensive pass game coordinator, is going to be down on the sideline. Honestly, I thought it would be reversed coming in, but I found out that it's different. Also, with Scott Simons, and then his one of his assistants at inside linebacker, they're flip-flopping. J.J. Clark is the only holdover on the defensive side of the ball, coaching staff-wise this year. J.J. was in the booth last year. He's going to be on the sideline today. And Simons, who's the former SMU linebackers coach, he's going to be up in the booth. So that surprised me a little bit, too.
I knew you would have that just completely wired. All right.
I'm the only nerd. You and I are the only nerds, Brian, that care about this kind of stuff.
Hey, listen, trust me. You are right now. There's millions of people retweeting exactly what you just walked through. All right. Okay. Hey, Chrissy, there was something that we heard about, and it was something about with the trifecta. I don't know the complete story.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so
I have my own
trifecta.
trifecta.
Oh, you got your own trifecta. Okay,
this
go
is
for
my
it.
own. This is my own trifecta because going into the first preseason game, I ask a scout, I ask a teammate, and I ask a very high up player personnel source, specifically, who are you looking for in this first preseason game that's come on this last week of training camp practices? And all three of them had the same answer, and I don't know that I ever remember that. And it's Camden Brown, the wide receiver. And I know he's gotten a lot of love. You've already talked about him a little bit today, but I know Georgia Southern, he had an outstanding year last year and put up all these numbers in college his final year, and everyone says, yeah, Georgia Southern. But he did begin his career at Auburn, of course, but he got lost in that wide receiver room there, and not a lot of playing time, but really set it on fire at Georgia Southern. And I'm telling you, the people that I trust and the player that I trust, and the player that I asked was also talking about special teams as well. So I can tell you that he has jumped Camden Brown has jumped 2 levels on special teams. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you know. That's how you know they like a kid.
I love it. Okay, we got 1 minute. How about the green dot stuff? Who's going to be doing that tonight?
So tonight it's going to be Shamar James, Curtis Robinson, who came over along with D. Winters from San Francisco. So James Robinson, you're also going to have Justin Barron, the hero of the joint practice Tuesday with the Rams with his 3 interceptions, and then the rookie free agent Langston Patterson. The guys who would have been working it a lot, Winters and Overshone, are not playing tonight. Coach's decision.
Fantastic, Christy. You're absolutely the best, and we look forward to catching up with you again next hour.
Sounds good. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. There she goes, Christy Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter.
You could do 3 hours of just pregame with her, and you would learn so much. You would learn the fact that she has
dialed,
her
dude.
trifecta where she goes and asks 3 different levels on the team of about players. That's the kind of reporting you absolutely need.
Yeah, that's a brilliant move by her, and everybody's saying Camden Brown.
And everybody trusts her, too. They're like, oh, yeah, they'll absolutely if I did that, they would hey, kick rocks, bro.
All right, we're just over 60 minutes to kick off, and it's a loaded hour with head coach Brian Schottenheimer. We'll go into the owner's box, and, of course, more Super Bowl winning analysis from Brian Broaddus. That's next right here on 105.3 The Fan.
fade, left corner of the end zone, 1 for 1. Caught the ball. Touchdown. Touchdown, Cowboys.
With Brad Schaub, Abe Loffenberg, Christy Scales, Eric Chiafalo, and Brian Broaddus. Brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Also brought to you by Bell Nunnally, behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods, get your Tyson Cowboys Star Nuggets available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here's Eric Chiafalo and Brian Broaddus.
Hello and welcome to the official pregame show of America's team. Under 60 minutes to kick off preseason game number 1. Cowboys in Seattle taking on the Super Bowl champions. It is back. It is here. And we could not be happier to be right where we are right now. I'm Eric Chiafalo alongside the Super Bowl champion Brian Broaddus, and let's go ahead and dive into this thing, man. It's great to have you back. Brought to you by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We're getting some Sam Howell starting at quarterback tonight, playing the first half. Not many starters, but we will see some glimpses of Caleb Downs, Malachi Lawrence, your brand new first-round picks.
Yeah, and hopefully things go to plan. Hopefully keep everybody upright for both teams. That's the thing when you're watching these games. You're sitting there in the press box, and you're just please let everybody get up after every play. You don't want to get through these games. They've done a really good job of, they've limited the one less game you have to worry about. The Cowboys coming off a pretty positive work with the Rams. We're kind of here watching the Rams. They're going to take down the Chiefs here at old, I think they got the name back of Arrowhead Stadium. So, the Rams going to win today. But, the Cowboys got some really good work against them on Tuesday. And now they're going to face another team, which they will play during the regular season. And just get a little bit of idea. John Snyder and that crew up there, defending Super Bowl champs, good roster, good 2s and 3s. You'll get a really good evaluation of your 2s and 3s. If you find a way, if you're watching this and all of a sudden their 2s are kicking your 2's ass, and then all of a sudden your 3s turn around and start kicking their 3's ass, you kind of get a little bit of an idea like, okay, we need to be a little bit better here or a little bit better there. And so it's always appreciate, they're out on the West Coast, and it's all about travel and stuff, but this is a really, really good competitive situation. It's been a very good competitive week for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, definitely good returns from that joint practice with the Rams. Justin Barron was the star of the show, getting the 3 interceptions. Looking forward to watch him play some linebacker tonight. But definitely a totally different vibe around this team compared to what it was this time last year.
Yeah.
A lot of new faces, coaching staff, and when it comes to the players and the personnel. So the vibes are right, and it's very exciting. And you have a lot of these young guys, when you think about, of course, Downs and Malachi Lawrence, but you're going to see Revel out there playing, 6 to 8 snaps. It looks like Christy Scales was telling us a little bit earlier. So guys that you are going to be depending on this year, even in the safety room. Jalen Thompson and P.J. Locke, those are 2 guys you brought in to play a heavy role in the safety room this year, but those guys get banged up plenty. We've seen it throughout their history in the NFL. It's already been that way throughout training camp in the offseason. So the young safeties, the Julius Woods of the world, the Elijah Clarks of the world, those guys are going to be fun to watch tonight. That's number 32 and number 38. And then Amir Speed at number 39 at corner is another guy that I'm excited to see. He's a big body dude. But Sam Howell getting the start first half. Joe Milton will take over for the second half. What do you think about just the overall offense here and what you're going to be looking at? Blue, Maffa, I would expect we'd see quite a bit of those guys.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to see all those backs with the exception of what you got with Williams. Williams is a no play. So everybody else that's probably going to dress in this football game, and hopefully this offensive line, it's It's had moments in practice where they've done a pretty good job as the backup group. You're not going to get any of the 5 starters playing. So now it's going to be about, and then you're down a couple of tight ends. Schoonmaker will be there's the first 2 tight ends will sit, then Schoonmaker will take that. And listen, we start to talk about guys that need to kind of step up and show some stuff. If you're one of these folks that are like a big fan of Trigg, the Baylor tight end,
yeah,
I'm going to be real honest with you right here, right now. Michael Trigg has not done anything to replace Luke Schoonmaker. He has not. As a matter of fact, DJ Rogers, same thing. There's nobody that has stepped up, and if you're one of these guys or gals that's had enough of Luke Schoonmaker, that's like, okay, well, hey, we want to move on from him. Let's get rid of him. He was a bust as a second-round player. Okay, you brought in some guys, but let's also be realistic here. If the guys you brought in don't show that they're better than the guy you're trying to replace, Luke Schoonmaker is not a terrible player. And I know people out there about to crash their cars into a pole with me saying that. But if you're going to replace guys, you better have good replacements to do it. Michael Trigg right now is not ready. He's not shown that he's capable of being the 3rd tight end.
Yeah.
But he's got this game. He's got a scrimmage against the Saints on Tuesday, and he's also got the opportunity for a couple more preseason games, the Arizona one and then the Saints the following week. So he's got opportunities. Somebody in that group needs to step up if you're wanting to move on from guys that are veteran players that you've had enough of.
Yeah, Michael Trigg at a Baylor athletic tight end. He'll be wearing number 46 tonight, so you can be watching for him. And then jersey number 6 as well in the wide receiver room, Camden Brown.
Yeah.
He's a guy at a Georgia Southern rookie receiver who has really come on throughout training camp, and it seems like he's caught the eye of a lot of people looking forward to watching him play tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are interested in to see, and with Valdez Scantling, he is kind of a limited guy. You're going to see him in that. You're not going to see any Turpin tonight.
No.
So
little Mingo.
Yeah, but a little Mingo right there. And Mingo's a guy. The first week of practice when I was out there was starting to have some pretty good practices, and then things kind of got a little soft for him. I mean, a little soft as far as not noticing him as much as as normal. Is he a guy that was the 4th wide receiver? Is he battling? Is he the 5th wide receiver? I think they're battling. I think all these guys are battling for one spot. We'll see what happens with Mingo. They might just say, listen. They might just say, hey, this Brown kid, this Camden Brown, if he, big body guy, if he playing special teams, that's something to watch tonight. If all of a sudden you're in this game and you start to see penalties, and it's blocking the back or this, that, and the other, make note who is doing the penalties. Make note, is it the wide receivers? Because they are not going to keep guys on the roster. Now, people are saying, oh, well, hell, they kept Sam Williams on the roster. They kept C.J. Goodwin on the roster. Those are penalty guys. But generally, if you're a wide receiver trying to make a team, can you get a key block? Can you be a returner? Can there be something? Can you give me a guy that's a flyer, a gunner, that's going to get downfield and make a tackle?
All right, we are under 60 minutes to kick off Cowboys and Seahawks preseason game number 1 here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Let's get you tonight's Coach's Corner. The voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, and Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer. That's coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Miller time. People think it just happens, but that's not true. You know what you got to do? You got to go say hello with some beers. Make the
right, we're 45 minutes to kick off here on your Cowboys pregame show. We'll go into the owner's box here in just a few minutes, but right now it's time for tonight's Coach's Corner. The voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, standing by with Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer.
Fellas, thank you. Here we go again. Brian Schottenheimer, how does this feel different, the whole experience, the second time around?
You know, it's been a great camp, and we're excited to get a chance to go play another NFL team and play what we call real football, because we haven't had a chance to do that. But it's really a chance for us to, begin to see some guys compete, make plays as we begin to formulate what this roster is going to look like.
Just watching camp, it looks like it's been good, pretty smooth. A lot of energy, competition. Nothing's as good as it looks in this business, or frankly anything else. What hasn't gone exactly the way you'd like it to?
Yeah, I think nothing's ever as good as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is. I've walked off the field in my career many, many times and be like, man, that was the worst practice I've ever seen. And you go, you watch it, and you're like, man, wasn't that bad? Or, man, we just threw the greatest practice ever, and you're like, it was okay. I would say there's really not much that hasn't gone good. I think, we got a few guys with some groins early on that have maybe slowed down their progress, Jayshawn Barham and some things like that. But, unfortunately, it's part of camp, and really that's probably the biggest thing. There's just been a handful of guys like Jonathan Bullard and Jayshawn Barham, Devin Moore, that we wanted to get a really good look at that we haven't. But again, they've been very involved in meetings, and they're staying ready.
Bullard, at least, is a veteran, and he's got a body of work. Barham and Moore are two of the guys I wanted to ask you, is it a disappointment? He's nothing against them. They're hurt or they're injured. But is it a disappointment that they have missed what they've missed? Because I'm not expecting to see very much of them tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a disappointment. I think at the end of the day, it's part of the game. It's going to happen. But what I love is the way these guys have attacked the rehab and attacked the meetings and staying involved in the mocks. And, yeah, they can't move full speed, but they're getting the mental reps, are out there, they're communicating. And really both guys were having a terrific camp and still are. And it's just, unfortunately, part of the process that we don't want to rush them back, and we want to make sure they're ready to go full speed when we get them back out there.
Let's talk about some of the people who you will see tonight, and we will be talking about, always has to start with the quarterbacks. How have they each done, the two guys who are going to play tonight, and how do you anticipate dividing the time?
Yeah, they'll both probably play a half. Again, when you watch these guys both go, the competition's been really cool. It's been fun for me. It's been truly back and forth. Sam has been doing a really good job of moving the football team, taking completions. Joe's always going to have wow plays, both with his arm and with his legs. And at the end of the day, the deal is you got to move the team and score points. And so at the end of this preseason, these guys are going to play a ton of football, and I think that's going to help us make our decision.
You probably got 4 running backs. I'm not including Lipke. You've probably got 4 running backs behind your starter who practically demand that you see them play. Are you anticipating playing time based partly on knowing you've got 2 more games after tonight, and how do you think you'll use them tonight?
Well, I think it's a pretty deep room, like you just said, after Javonte and Hunter, who aren't going to play. These young guys need to play. I'm talking Jaden Blue, Phil Maffa, Izzy's been great for us. Malik Davis has been really good. And then, we just picked up Jayshawn Corbin, and he was 5 installs behind, Brad, and he's got caught up, which is not easy. So we're gonna get these guys a lot of work.
Wide receiver room is also, boy, there's a lot of talent in there. And some guys have opened some eyes. You drafted one young man who's playing well. You've got a couple of free agents who have made some plays. How do you decide who gets snaps, at least in this game?
Yeah, again, it's kind of, okay, hey, who have we seen perform? Who do we have great timing and trust in that we don't really need to see? We'll be very, very selective. But we want to see guys play, like Anthony Smith. Camden Brown's a guy that we got, a lot of excitement about. Jaden Smith's got great size. There's a number of guys you look at this roster that need a chance. They need an opportunity, and they're going to get that throughout tonight and the rest of preseason.
No one asks you very often about potential backup offensive linemen, but I'm very interested in those guys. I don't know why I identify with them, but guys like Cornelius, Trevor Keegan, Shelton, Nick Leverett, those seem to me to be guys of multiple positions who might all make contributions if they can do it. Who are you most interested in seeing in that group?
Well, and I like the way you asked the question, Brad, because TJ Bass is not in that group.
I left him out on purpose.
I know that, and I respect you and appreciate you doing that because he's in a different category. AJ Cornelius is, since we've moved him to guard, he's been having a terrific last few days. Really excited about the addition of Drew Thomas, or Drew Shelton, excuse me. He's playing really, really well, very consistent. Keegan's got good flexibility. You're going to see Nick Leverett play a lot at center. And then, the guy that has all the talent in the world, he's just got to put it together a little bit, is Nate Thomas. And so he'll get some run here as well. And I expect these guys to do a good job.
Short on time, let's jump to the other side of the ball. Which position group are you most interested in seeing? Because, again, you've got a lot of competition for jobs there.
Yeah, I think the corner spot, we're really deep at safety, but, we got some young corners that, have a lot of talent. And, again, there's guys like Triquez Bridges. You got, Josh Butler, who's been around for a while. We need to figure and sort those things out. And those guys will compete. Those guys will battle. And it should be a fun night.
Linebackers, Justin Barron, I have to mention him. Clearly, you've liked him since he's been on the punt team since the beginning of camp.
Yeah,
he's got a little experience. He got a lot of versatility. Where does he factor in?
Yeah, and he played great against the Rams in the joint. Here's a guy that's changing positions last year. He's so much more comfortable. Really fits what we're doing. What I love about Justin, his block destruction right now is incredible. Getting free from linemen and fullbacks trying to block him. He's been doing a great job, and his pass drop and ability to cover is unique.
All right, have fun tonight.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, there's Brian Schottenheimer, fellas. Back to you.
Brad Sham, thank you very much. We look forward to catching up with Brad here just before kickoff. We are now under 40 minutes to preseason kickoff number 1. Cowboys in Seattle taking on the Seahawks. And the Coach's Corner is brought to you by Gillette, the official shave of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go into the owner's box with Jerry Jones. That is coming up next. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Take it from a champion. What is a champion? A champion aims high, works hard, and goes above and beyond every single day.
Solomon's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app. Here's Eric Giafalo and Brian Broaddus.
All right, we're inching closer and closer, ladies and gentlemen. Just under 34 minutes to kick off preseason game number 1. Great to have you in the official pregame show of America's team right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Let's go back to Seattle, Lumen Field, inside the owner's box with Christy Scales and Jerry Jones.
Well, Jerry, in this preseason opener, just caught a peek of you talking with your first-round pick, Caleb Downs, on the field. And I know he's going to get some limited reps tonight, but do you mind sharing, was it some inspiring words, or what was it?
No, not really. I was, again, reminding him when I see that 13, not only as a 13 a lucky number for me. As a matter of fact, I've always had my money on 13, and I was born on the 13th, but still, it's a pretty lucky number, but I don't believe he needs any of that.
Well, now, wait a minute. If 13 is your lucky number, I thought that when Deion Sanders got his signing bonus, wasn't it 12.99999? Was that Deion's idea on that?
Well, we just didn't want to look like it was 10 million or 13 million.
I see.
But it's probably his idea, but I get your point, yeah.
Yeah.
And but 13 has really been gone out of my way to always try to get that 13.
Why was he the right pick, and why is he the great addition to the secondary?
Well, first of all, a lot of people think that maybe the cover corner or the pressure player on the edge or the premium players. Today, the nickel has really elevated to a point where it arguably is right there with some of those premium spots. There's 2 or 3. So number one, he is that. But more importantly, from the get-go, he was recognized as probably the most complete, just savvy, instinctive, just really has a instinct about him that goes with his athletic ability. So it's good to have him.
Your new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, has a background working with defensive backs. I know that when he calls plays for the first time tonight, it's not game planning, but what do you want the Cowboys fans to know about what he's going to bring with the game planning and with the play calling when it starts to count in September?
Yeah, I think to me, one of his really premium goals is to mix it up and be unpredictable. And that really takes a lot of communication. That takes a lot of coordination. Everybody's got to understand what the end game is to trick them. And, of course, we know that tricking can just go so far when they're knocking you out of there. So bottom line is that I think he's got all the ingredients. Not only is he a motivator, communicator, but he's got the ingredients to be a very strategic, outstanding coach.
On the offensive side of the ball, battle for backup quarterback, who's going to be number 2 behind Dak. We know that Sam Howell is starting tonight. Newcomer, but we saw him play in Washington. What do you want to see from Howell, and what do you want to see from Milton?
Well, that really here in our preseason should be, and it's structured for it to be, but one of the, if not the top priority is to see who's backing Dak up. And so it's one thing to do it at practice against your own. It's another thing to do it here in this game conditions. And basically just don't make the big mistakes. It's often said it's not the big plays, it's the avoiding the big mistakes. But it's important for us to see who really is going to give you the best chance to win the game. Sounds like a cliche. That's what you're trying to see between those two in preseason.
We appreciate the time and look forward to the season. Thanks so much, Jerry. That's the view from the owner's box as we kick off the preseason here at Lumen Field in Seattle. As we continue counting down to Cowboys at Seahawks, let's rejoin Eric and Brian.
Thank you, Christy. There he is, Jerry Jones in the owner's box, brought to you by Yeti, the official cooler of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. We continue to preview this preseason matchup, brought to you by Aero Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Tricking them, huh?
Tricking them, man. Tricking can only get you so far,
Tricking can only get you so far.
Lucky number 13 for him as well. I mean, maybe this ends up sticking for Downs.
Yeah, that's it's funny. I just have this feeling, though, that Downs, as soon as we'll see with Durant. I mean, I give
maybe Durant's here to stay.
Yeah, that's what I was talking with Bucky Buchanan, the equipment man, about this when all this was going down. And he was like, what a pain in the ass we're having to go through.
Yeah, the number rules changed.
Seriously, he wants to help all these guys. He really does. It's not like he's trying to be...
No, what does he care?
Yeah, he's trying. If somebody asks for a specific number, he's trying to explain that, hey, we can't use this number or we can use this number, and this is how it's going to all play. But anyway, it's... I wouldn't be surprised. Well, maybe he'll be in 2 next. Maybe he makes All Pro this year in 13 and says, you know what, this is a good number. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But seeing him out there in the pregame warm-ups and everything, it's still aesthetically pleasing. You know, overall, I think he's wearing it well, and cannot wait to see Caleb Downs out there for at least a series or so tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. Shoddy in the coach's corner with Brad Sham saying the young running backs are going to get a lot of work tonight. Definitely want to see a lot of Jaden Blue taking care of the football. Phil Maffa, of course, as well. He mentioned Joe Milton makes wild plays. You know, he understands what he has in Joe Milton there. And then defensively, it's the corner spot that he says he's most interested in. Would you agree?
I think there's the corner spot is huge. The safety spot, I think safety. I know, I'm looking at safety. The one thing with Thompson and Locke being out and Bell not being kind of what you want as a real safety, it's really opened it up for other guys to get the opportunity. And now, how many are you going to keep? How many safeties are you going to keep? And it's just an assumption that Hooker makes this team, and Bobby will fight me on this.
Yeah,
Bobby said, "Well, look, they if they wanted to, they could have moved on from him. They could have saved $7 million, and boom, there we go." But anyway, hey, I think the safety group with those young guys, really the whole secondary is worth it, because we're going to see, I believe we'll see veteran quarterbacks tonight for the Seahawks, if I'm right about that. So this will be a good little challenge for the secondary.
Yeah, let's see the quarterbacks. You're going to have Drew Lock and Jalen Milroe. So Drew Lock for sure. He's a veteran. Yeah. All right, we're just under 30 minutes to kick off Cowboys preseason game number 1 here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Let's go inside the booth live from Seattle with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. That is coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Apply now to the University of North Texas Dallas Cowboys online MBA
Okay, we're under 20 minutes to kick off Cowboys preseason game number 1 in Seattle. Let's go inside the booth with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, brought to you by WinStar. Proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. The best dressed man in Oxnard. We welcome him into the program now. Brad, how you doing?
I'm great. Where'd you get that?
I mean, that T-shirt you wore, that Pulp Fiction T-shirt, nobody guessed it was you, Brad, but I'll never forget it.
No, I kind of wore that with you in mind, Eric. What can I tell you?
Well, it's a real honor. It's a real honor.
I've got a couple more. I've saved a couple for the last week, that I don't think anybody else has. Well, just kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah, snap some pics, man. I'll post them online.
I'll send you one.
Thank you.
Brad, you're like me. You love to watch backup offensive linemen play. I know you got to call a game tonight, and I'm going to ask you in the post game, what do you think? And you're going to say, I need to watch the tape. But you're going to be watching some backup offensive linemen tonight and being kind of interested?
Yeah, you heard the pregame show, and I don't know how many guys are going to ask Schottenheimer. That's one thing I like about my job. I get to ask about the stuff I care about, like backup offensive linemen.
I'm glad you did it.
But I will tell you what, it was very instructive because, sometime in October, someone's going to turn an ankle, and they're going to say, well, who's going to play guard or who's going to play tackle? So one thing we found out is that T.J. Bass, although he's going to play maybe a series tonight, he is the 6th offensive lineman. And Schottenheimer said that in no uncertain terms, which means he's come a long way as a center because they weren't crazy about him as a center a year ago. And then, I'm looking at A.J. Cornelius because he was a tackle in college. He was a tackle last year. You and I both watched him, Brian. I think he's done okay at guard. I've talked to him a little bit. But that's a guy who can play guard and tackle if he looks like he can do that. So that's an important component. Trevor Keegan, nobody knows who he is, but he was with the Eagles on the practice squad. They signed him last year, and I asked Will McClay, why did you sign him when you've got Hoffman and Bass? He said he's a better center than Bass and a better guard than Hoffman. Now, Bass may have improved, but that's what they thought of Keegan. And then don't forget, they signed a guy named Hennessy in the offseason.
Yes.
From the 49ers. He was one of their big signings. An interior offensive lineman. He was going to be the 6th offensive lineman. Neck injury, out for the year. So that opens the door for a Keegan. It opens the door for a Cornelius. There's just guys that nobody talks about. We're going to see Nick Leverett come in and play center. He's a veteran. Those guys are going to be on the team, and it's going to be an important part. That, Brian, along with, and I'm trying to be mindful of the clock, Eric.
You're good.
The wide receivers and the running backs who are going to play tonight, especially at wide receiver, I'm interested in Anthony Smith and Camden Brown, and then all of the running backs and pretty much all the cornerbacks.
Brad, take a look at those safeties tonight, too. Those injuries for Thompson and those guys, Locke, have opened the door for a couple of guys, I think, in that safety.
Yeah, Locke is going to play tonight.
Right.
He's going to play a series or so, which is significant. Here's the thing that people don't realize. If P.J. Locke and Kobe Durant, who will not play tonight, either one of them would have been the best defensive back on the team last year.
No question.
And so, Durant may be a starting corner until Rebel kind of gets into a groove. Locke is going to be a very valuable guy. He can play in the slot. He'll be big on special teams. And so the backup safety thing, the other thing about the safety position, Brian, that interests me is, and I owe you guys almost a minute, the thing about safety is at some point, if they say we just got to do better, is Caleb Downs then a safety in standard? Which he's been in practice, he's been in training camp.
I think they're getting him ready for that, and they're getting ready Durant to play the nickel slot, is what I think.
I mean, I think they want Downs to do both.
I do, but yeah,
and a little option quarterback and maybe punt. I think that they're preparing him for everything.
I love it. Well, Brad, you're the man. Enjoy the game. We'll be listening.
Thanks, Eric.
Yes, sir. There he goes, voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, with us here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. And we'll stay in Seattle and welcome in Christy Scales. Get her keys to the game, brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Christy, what's on your mind right now?
Well, the number one key in any preseason game, any game, of course, is health. Right? Let's just come out of this game and not lose anybody and say, oh, third or fourth stringer. But, hey, these guys are competing. Their careers are on the line. And so health is number one. I think, yes, Schottenheimer, I agree. I think it's going to be a great battle at cornerback. But can we have some more clarity on our backup quarterback situation?
Yeah,
we talked to Jerry Jones about that in the pregame show just about a half hour ago. But here's the thing. Dak Prescott was healthy for the whole 17 games last year, and the Cowboys offense was so prolific and put up great numbers. But to assume that they're going to be able to do that again this year, and that's assuming that you have your starting quarterback for 17 games at his age, you've got to have some answers at backup quarterback. So the Sam Howell is going to start and play the first half, and Joe Milton will play the second half. It's interesting on the other side of the field here, how they're doing it with Drew Lock and Jalen Milroy. Drew Lock is going to play the first two series, then Milroy will play the second two series. So they're going to alternate two series in the first half, and then the second half, Milroy will get the entire second half. So it's just interesting to see the different approaches by the different staffs.
Chrissy, more or less 12 men on the field penalty this game.
No, I'll take the over on that.
Yeah.
I'll take the over. No, I will. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. One player that I think Camden Brown at wide receiver has been getting a lot of attention this past week as a guy to look out for. But another person that I've been hearing about all of camp, but mainly just from the scouts, he's kind of under the radar, but Anthony Smith. He's your seventh round pick at wide receiver. I believe he's going to start at gunner tonight. Okay? And so that's significant because I'm not saying he's going to be on the 53-man roster or active on game day, but there's some decisions to make. A guy like Ryan Flanoy, he was your gunner at times last year, and now he's going to be your number 3 wide receiver. So, do you want him out there doing that, or do you risk him? Oh, by the way, Caleb Downs is listed as the backup punt returner.
Yes.
Come on now.
Not today.
Not today. But, I'm just saying that, some of these people look at preseason, it's like, what do we care about third or fourth stringer? Who makes the practice squad? There's a domino effect. These are repercussions. Yeah. If some of these young guys can step up and really show in preseason that they can make a contribution early in the regular season, then, it affects your starters. You're not having to use the Flanoys of the world on things on special teams, for example. So preseason, we always say it doesn't count on the scoreboard, but it matters so much, not just for these guys' careers, but for down the line and how you're going to use your starters.
Christy, you're the best. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the game. We'll be listening.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian.
All right, there she goes, Christy Scales, right here on your Cowboys pregame show. And that'll do it for us here on the pregame show. Kickoff is around the corner. Brad, Babe, and Christy will take you the rest of the way. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
We've all got a wild side. Feed it with Jack Links. Now feed it with more Jack Links. Now use your wild side to smash through the door. Now ride your wild side down the stairs like a sled.